All right, ladies and gentlemen, what is up? That is right. Flash Langan here, coming at you again. Not live, maybe one day. But for right now, we got another awesome packed show for ya. And that is right. We are going to get into it tonight because Ethan, we have a lot to discuss. And also, we are going to be, I believe we got some top 5 bassists that we are going to be discussing. And this is going to be hella fun, amongst other things. And, of course, we are going to be covering the solo career of one Sebastian Bach. So welcome to episode 5, To Hell and Bach. How are you tonight, Ethan?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Doing wonderful as always, buddy. I'm so ready to get into this. Let's get it going. All right, so this has been a crazy time, and it's really just helping us look back at how we look at our music. And one of the instruments that usually gets kind of left out of the conversation is bass. It doesn't get much love. It's not like I really haven't seen too many bands out there who have to have 3, a lead and a rhythm bass player. And so we're going to show the bassist a little love. Now, we have our own top 5 lists for bassists, which that's going to be fun, so I can't wait to hear yours. But that is to come here in just a moment. But I'm going to kick things off with an announcement for the next episode. And that is on the next episode. So we got some special events coming up for next week's episode. I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be awesome. And so now what we're going to focus on is we're going to give those bassists some love here. And we're going to talk about the bass, the importance that it plays, do a small discussion, and then we're going to get into our top 5. We're going to see who Ethan chose, and we're going to see who I chose. Now, a lot of these bassists were chosen on basically just, it's more of this is going to be definitely a biased view. This has a little bit to do with some certain skills, but for the most part, it's not really based off of anything on, like, who's better. We're not saying everybody sucks, and we're not saying that these are the top 5 bassists in the world. We're just saying that, to us, these are top 5 bassists, and we just want to shed some light on as to why. So, without further ado, let's break this down. So, Ethan, you've had personal experience recently with how important it is to have a bass at a certain album, because what sparked this for me is when you told me that you had a certain little album that went without bass for years, and then suddenly there was a version that had the original bass in it. How much did that change up the dynamic of the album and the impact?
Are you talking about Injustice for All?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't remember telling you this. But yes, when I bought my new iPod, I was going to put music on it. Instead of doing the regular Injustice for All, I found a copy of Injustice for All with bass on it. And it makes the album so much better. I could see the bass in that album is really closely to guitar. The notes are the same. It's just a little bit lower. But it makes a world of a difference. And when they release the remastered version coming out here soon, I hope they amp the bass up. Again, back to our topic last week. Reason why there's no bass is because Lars is an asshole.
Yep, unfortunately, we have those moments where we have to deal with Lars. But so having the bass basically turned down to 0 or cut out from the album completely?
Apparently, he wanted the drums to sound a specific sound that it ended up taking out all the bass for some reason. I don't know how you get your drums to sound I don't understand how the bass has to be 0 to get the drums to sound a certain way.
Oh my God, Lars, really? God damn it.
The engineers come out and said that. He said it was Lars's fault because Lars wanted the drums a certain way and it kept taking away from the bass, and I don't know why.
I swear to God, every time we move 5 steps forward, he knocks us back at least 2 or 3. Always.
I know.
It's for the dumbest reasons, too.
It really is. I want my drums to sound this way.
Oh, man. Like, I'm still pissed at him for turning the drums down to 0, that snare drum down to 0 on St. Anger. That shit haunts me.
How stupid do you have to be to, like, turn the snare off and be like, that sounds cool? Like,
I don't know. They did it for that album.
Yep.
Anyway. So, bassists. So, before we get into, like, the top 5, do you have any, like, you have some small experience playing bass. What made you gravitate towards that?
I actually used to play bass in middle school. The big bass for like the Jaws theme and stuff. I used to play that, and it's not really much different from the bass from in a rock band. It's easier, but not that much easier. I mean, you can use one finger instead of chords, but the bass is just a very underrated instrument in a rock band, and I think it needs to be a little bit more spotlighted. And as you will see by my list once we start going through with it, a lot of my bassists, they can double as a rhythm guitar in the band, or possibly in some cases be a lead. So
that's very interesting. Now, I will definitely say I have a feeling that your bassist top 5 list is going to be a lot more technical and dynamic than mine.
Yes, I like finger picking more than picks.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that, and also it doesn't mean that just because you use a pick,
no,
that you're any less of a bass player. But a lot of the guys that I chose on my list can do both, and have been known because sometimes there's certain songs that actually call for a pick.
Yes.
Just because you want that high quality sound, whether you're in the studio or if just all around the track calls for it live. So
yeah.
So I have a lot of good bassists who can do both. They don't really specialize too much in one style, but they are very versatile. However, I will say there are some bassists out there who are not as good at, like you said, making the bass like an extra rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great talents out there who can do that. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. Now, also, so far on my list, I will say this: spoiler alert, there are no dead guys on there.
Oh, see, I have a dead guy on mine.
Yeah, I know you have a dead guy on yours, but I have no dead guy. All my guys are still around, functioning, and are alive and well, but are still very good and underrated at what they do. So I kind of wanted to go for the cream of the crop of the guys who don't get the spotlight as much.
Yeah,
but really do deserve it.
I just went with favorites for mine.
You went with favorites, so that's totally understandable. And I have my own little methods. Now, like I said, if we were going to get more technical into this list would be completely different. So just so anybody knows out there, no, we're not saying Les Claypool sucks, okay? We know just how good that guy is. And if we were doing like a top 10 technical list, you got to have Les Claypool.
Or the slap happy guy from Korn, because even though I hate Korn, he actually does have some talent as far as slapping that bass.
Oh, Fieldy was definitely a pioneer of that bass slap. So.
Oh yeah, that actually does require talent, I think.
Yeah. So without further ado, do you want to get into it?
Yeah, I want to hear your list first.
Oh, you want to hear mine first?
Because you've already released half of it on Twitter, just not on the. You just haven't released the rankings yet, so I'm curious to see.
Where they fall?
The only one I had a clue on was the one you announced first on Twitter. So.
Oh yeah, well you come on, you know me. You just had to know he was going to.
I have no idea what your number one is. So.
All right, well here we go. So honestly, in top 5. Now, when I say that this guy is going to be kicking off the top 5, this is not a knock on his skills. He's actually a veteran who's been in the field for quite a while.
Now, really quick, before you do your list,
sure.
Do you have any honorable mentions?
I do have some honorable mentions.
Anybody that you might have bumped off the list that you originally had on there?
Actually, yes.
Okay.
One of them is Lemmy Kilmister.
Ooh, yeah, no.
And with good reason, and it's not anything against Motorhead. It's just kind of for what I was going for. He turned out to be a bassist who apparently gets so much love.
A lot of their songs are bass driven too.
Exactly. So, and he's the lead vocalist. So so Lemmy Kilmister was definitely one of them. And then another bassist who was an honorable mention was James Lomenzo, former Megadeth bassist, but also current bassist for White Lion. Very underrated. I've seen what he can do live. He's a veteran, so he's definitely worth the mention. He's got an awesome bass groove. So those are two honorable mentions, and I'm not going to go too much into the other ones I bumped off. But
I was about to say I have one I'll ask you about, but I'm going to ask you after your list because he might be on your list, and I don't want to ruin it.
Okay, so we'll get into it, and here we go. So my first one, kicking off the top 5, is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And the reason for that being is because I have a little bit of a story to tell you. I have another buddy who I've been friends with. His name was Zach, and he told me stories.
Mm-hmm.
This guy has been to every heavy band you can think of: Testament, Slayer, Megadeth, Metallica, Godsmack, Lamb of God. Like, the list goes on and on.
Mm-hmm.
The worst mosh pit he ever got caught in was a Red Hot Chili
That
Peppers.
does not surprise me.
And it was because he was front row where Flea was. And he watched Flea that entire night and said there is something about his bass playing that is so... It sounds simple, but then when you look at him, he's very technical, but he has a groove that can start a mosh pit. And very underrated. So
his bass is very prominent in all those songs that they play too.
Oh, absolutely.
You can hear it, and he's not playing the low notes; he's playing those high strings on the bass, which is even more talented.
And he also finger picks for the most part. I don't think I've ever seen him use a pick.
I don't think I have either.
And so Flea is one of a kind. He's one of those guys that I had to just absolutely mention on that.
So as the people at home can see, our show, even though we talk about metal and rock, it's a wide variety of rock. So
yeah,
because I would consider Red Hot Chili Peppers rock, more like a soft rock, but like or stoner rock. I would say, yeah. But they're still rock.
But also, if you were to take Flea out of Red Hot Chili Peppers and put him in any other band, he fits fine.
Oh yeah, totally.
He can play with anybody.
They were fans of like Metallica and stuff, weren't they? Yeah.
And the song that I chose to showcase, to me anyway, now there might be other songs out there that definitely showcase it, but the one that hit me the most was By the Way from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and because that one is very bass heavy. It has a small intro, but then it is very bass heavy. There's a lot of groove in it, and it's fast as hell, and it's a damn good song. So that was the song that I chose to, if I was going to have a go-to to showcase Flea's skills, which this would be showcasing like 2% of what he can do, this would be the track. And that is By the Way by Red Hot Chili Peppers. So that is a very bass-heavy song. So if you just pop that one on, you will definitely know what I'm talking about. So Flea kicks off my top 5.
Okay.
So let's do it a little differently. We're gonna do a trade-off.
Okay.
So
like
now
that.
you give me your fifth bassist who kicks off your countdown.
All right. So my number 5, I picked him because he is very underrated. Very underrated. He did unfortunately bump off Gene Simmons on my list.
Ooh.
I originally had Gene at this spot, but then Tuesday night at work, I was closing and I had my headphones on, and he just kind of popped in my head, and I listened to some songs with him in it, and I was like, you know what? He's very underrated. And also, too, the song that actually pushed him into my top 5 and took Gene out was a demo. So, and it showcased his skills very well. He also gave the band more oomph with his backing vocals when they were live. Jason Newsted.
Interesting top 5 pick.
I just think he's very underrated. He does play with a pick most of the time, which is okay. I have seen him play with fingers before, though. He played a lot of the old stuff with fingers, which, Cliff Burton's parts, you need to do that. As he was very good at the backing vocals for James, which he gets credit for too. But I really wanted to put Gene in there, but I just think Jason's better. And it was the demo of Creeping Death in his second audition with Metallica that actually made me put him in there, because in the demo he adds some of his own flair to the song in some parts, and that's what actually added. And the song that I picked for the spotlight, I didn't do the demo because if people want to listen to it, it's going to be really hard to find that demo. You'd have to get the box set of Master of Puppets in order to do that, and unless you're a hardcore fan like me, you're not going to do that. So the song I picked was Dyer's Eve from And Justice for All. It's probably the fastest track on the album, and it's the with the upgraded bass on And Justice for All. I can really hear the bass well, and he's keeping up with the guitars. So that's my top number 5 on my list.
Very nice. That's actually a very damn good pick to start off your number 5. I will say Jason Newsted, I just never thought he got enough credit for all his work. So.
I've been starting to appreciate him a lot more lately. The way he got kicked out of Metallica and the way they were treating him is just horse crap. So
gotcha. He
would be really good in the band now if he was still in there.
All right. Well, here's the funny part: is my number 4 is Gene Simmons.
Okay.
From Kiss, and a couple. Kiss. And a couple of songs that were definitely worth the mention is, God of Thunder is one. Obviously, that's going to hit you hard with the bass and seeing what he can do. But there's a lot of songs that I have seen Gene Simmons play with his fingers faster live. So then the other honorable mention that I'm going to go with is this, of course, should be no surprise, the live version from the Animalized tour of Young and Wasted, because I did not know how fast he was going to keep that groove going. And Gene was very underrated as a frontman and as a bassist. So I would say you could say what he does is simple, but when you see the approach he takes to it and how much time and effort he really makes sure that every song is as crisp as possible, I can't help but respect the guy to at least give him this spot. I mean, but, he's very underrated as well, so... and that's just as a bassist alone. But also I will give him the advantage in the experience because he's been around for a while. So maybe he hasn't shown us everything that he still knows. He probably forgot a lot more than most bassists know today.
He's more talented than he gives himself credit for, because I know he said before that he's not a good bass player, but he actually really is. I've been trying to play Lick It Up on the bass on one of his, and his it's simple, but at the same time it requires a lot of finger picking. So...
there you go, people. Finger picking.
Finger picking. I guess that's my turn, huh?
It is your turn.
At my number 4, I got somebody who I didn't think I was going to include on this list, but he's really good. He does probably about 50-50 as far as finger picking and picking is concerned.
Nice.
Shavo from System of a Down.
Very good pick right there.
Shavo, a lot of his bass... he doesn't, as far as his bass parts are concerned, he doesn't, stick out the bass parts do, but he follows the guitar very closely, and System of Down's music is pretty heavy and fast.
That's going to be a tough order to follow for anybody. So.
Yeah. And there are a couple of songs where his bass does stick out, and he's doing it constantly, Hypnotize is one of them, where he's like, do, and that's not that easy to do. And I also think he is underrated too. Not a lot of people talk about him when they talk about bassists. So, and the song I picked for him is Prison Song from Toxicity.
I knew why you were going to do that one, because that groove alone. But another honorable mention would be the final bass groove at the end of Toxicity as well.
I had 3 songs that I was going to pick. It was either going to be Toxicity, BYOB, or Prison Song.
Prison Song was definitely the easy choice for that.
After listening to them, all 3 of them back to back, that was the one where I was like, ooh, yeah, okay. So that's my number 4.
All right. So now we're going down to number 3. And I chose somebody who I thought also got overlooked. He's been a solo artist for about the past 8 years almost now. And because sadly he had a falling out with this very popular band. But his bass skills are not to be denied, because before he went on to his solo career, he actually, while he was doing some solo stuff, he actually filled in for Fieldy of Korn on one of their latest 2000 tours a few years back, when Fieldy had another kid. So he was at home playing daddy, so they got this guy to fill in. And that is, I'm probably going to butcher his name because I'm so bad with names, but it is Ryan Martini of Mudvayne.
Oh, good choice.
Yes, and the reason why is because obviously his bass in every Mudvayne song sticks out. You know where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
It's very definitive. He finger picks. I've never seen him use a pick. But also, in a way, he's another one of those guys. His bass can be a third rhythm guitar if need be. And the song that I chose, and there was a lot to go through because his bass sticks out on every single one of them. I was even thinking of going with, because you could go with songs like Not Fallen. You could have gone with Happy. But the song I chose actually was Dig.
I was just about to say, well, why didn't you mention Dig? But yeah, that's...
Dig was the song I chose because the other thing that's cool, I don't know who did it, but somebody made, or I think it was Mudvayne who did it, they actually shot singles angles of the song Dig for the music video, and you can actually isolate his bass playing on Dig, just him. And seeing that guy's fingers move and move through the progressions from rhythm to the lead to backing up the guitar, it's all there, and he does it flawlessly. And he has insanely fast fingers. And plus, even though if you're going to trust somebody to fill in bass for Fieldy but have the hand slapping down and the bass slaps, they couldn't have chosen anybody better.
Yeah.
And he filled in, and he did just fine for the tour. So he filled in for them, and now he's kind of doing some solo projects with other bassists and stuff. So I definitely thought he was worth the mention. But I will never forget the first time I ever heard Dig. The first thing I actually heard was that bass.
That was actually the first song I heard from Mudvayne, too.
Yep.
So it's probably everybody's first song they've heard. Dig!
Well, yeah, those hard vocals, but that bass was just undeniable. That
yeah,
like it's just like holy shit. Yeah, and that part too. Even when he does some finger plucking on there, he makes that sound stick out too. But then he's very calculated about starting it and stopping it, and then doing the progression into like the rhythm and the bridge. Oh my god. So, but yeah, if you ever get a chance on the YouTube, look up Dig bass only, and you will see him play the entire song from his standpoint in the music video.
I'll definitely do that.
Yeah, it's worth a look. It's definitely worth a look. So, yep, that is he is my number 3. It is time to move on to your number 3.
All right. My number 3 comes from probably the most prog band that I listened to. I actually I got into him because of the new lead singer of Camelot. I found out he was in another band before, so I was like, oh, I'll give this band a shot. And when I say prog, they're pretty prog. Like, they have a lot of time changes, and they're just all over the place. Their songs are like clocking in at 10 minutes long and shit.
Yeah, you know you're not a prog brand till one of your songs is at least 45 minutes long.
But it is the bassist from Seventh Wonder. His name is Andreas Bloom. I'm going to butcher this totally bad. Bloomfist. He's Swedish.
No, his name is Bloomfist now.
But the reason why he's my number 3, in every song that I've heard on their on all their albums, his bass has a very distinct tone. It almost doubles as a rhythm guitar, just about, but it also doubles as a lead guitar too. There's a lot of songs that in the middle of the song, or in the song that I spotlighted in the beginning of the song, he does a bass solo, like right smack in the middle of the song. When I say bass solo, it's like it's like all over the place, and it can measure up with a guitar solo, and that's why I put him on my top 5. The song that I spotlighted was "Break the Silence" from Mercy Falls. Right, it's a 10-minute long song, but right in the beginning of the song, he does this bass solo, and he's just finger picking every single string, just going up and down. Like when you're listening to this, I can picture it in my head, just him just going up and down the strings, just like a worm on top of these strings, just it's like, and it's crazy. And I'm really glad that I listened to him because he's really good. Unfortunately, he's not as good as my top 2, I think, but, well, you'll see.
All right, sounds good. So now, coming in at number 2, and yes, you called this one on social media, David Ellefson of Megadeth.
I was actually shocked. You announced it on Twitter, but you kept going with your list, and I was starting to think that he was number 1. I'm like, oh, son of a bitch.
You see what I did there?
Yeah.
But David Ellefson, obviously for a number of reasons, is going to be high on my list because, well, for one, I'm a huge Megadeth fan, so yes, this is a bit of a biased pick. But also, he's really had a chance to show me what he can do. I only seen him live once, but I do remember they played some songs on the set list that they never really included, but they did it because he was back. Mm-hmm. And so on songs like Poison Was the Cure from Rust in Peace, and then, of course, seeing Dawn Patrol played live, that was awesome. Yeah. And Dawn Patrol is definitely one of the best bass David Ellefson songs ever. Absolutely one of my favorites. It sounds simple. It is simple. Can be technical, but that is just a badass bass track. Heavy bass, slow, timed well. One of my absolute favorites, and I loved seeing him play that one live. And he is just a very, very killer bassist because I've also got to see his work when he helped fill in for Soulfly for a little while. Mm-hmm. And he shows that he can bring the heavy bass with that band as well. So he did like 5 tracks on the album for them. Killed it, so the bass was very recognizable. And seeing what he's been putting out lately, too, has been very impressive. So he's still going. He's back with Megadeth going strong. So that was very happy to see. But there's other songs, too, where his bass really sticks out that you wouldn't think they would. So one of the, like, you had 3 tracks. Well, because it's David Ellefson, I had a lot of tracks. I mean, obviously, I could go right to Peace Sells.
I think I know which one you picked, but... Oh, you just said it. Never mind. I was going to pick Peace Sells. So.
No. Well, also, here's the thing. Ellefson played that one, but he didn't write that one. That was Mustaine who wrote that bass riff.
Oh, okay.
So that's
he's still got to play it, though.
Oh, yeah, he's still got to play it. But also, I've seen Ellefson use a pick, and I've seen him not use a pick. But a lot of the songs that Mustaine actually has been playing actually do require a pick, so he actually does use a pick for the majority of them because a lot of it is Mustaine. So, but also, I did look up. He has a badass bass solo when they were on the Euthanasia tour, and it was right before they go into Train of Consequences. And this one was in Chile, and you actually get to see him do a full-out bass solo. It's got a nice groove to it. He's got some drums backing him up. The late Nick Menza, rest in peace, was backing him up on drums, but that's pretty much all it was bass and drums, and Ellefson really showed his skills with that bass solo. And then I actually, to see kind of a little extra just to make sure that he would be in this position, David Ellefson also has bass lessons online.
Wow.
And so I looked a few of them up. He knows his shit. He knows what he's talking about. So, yeah, he jumped up to number 2. So I know that was a long-winded answer, but that's why David Ellefson is my number 2.
My number 2 is my only dead guy on the list. Died very young before his time. You probably already know who it is.
Yes, I do.
But the story goes that he joined the band because apparently the guys were in the audience and they thought it was an electric guitar playing, but it was a bassist who was doing finger picking with his bass. And I went with the late and great Cliff Burton.
Okay.
Um,
Obviously, you don't really need to explain that one, but just go ahead for the audience anyway.
in the first 3 albums that he was on before he got killed, his bass sounds like an electric guitar. And you could tell that he had an impact on writing that music in there because their music totally changed after he died. Metallica was not the same band after he passed away. Their music style changed, and I feel like if he never passed away, we never would have got the Black Album. So he's just a very influential bassist. Dude up there just playing away constantly. And the spotlight that I chose was Anesthesia, Pulling Teeth, his bass solo from Kill 'Em All.
Absolutely a phenomenal track to do.
Yep. It was either going to be that one or For Whom the Bell Tolls, because that one sounds like an electric guitar in that one too.
Could you also have done Battery?
I could do Battery too, but the bass solo is just nuts. Like,
oh yeah, so
it's just him.
It's just him, so that's totally worth it.
But,
perfect way to showcase his skills.
Yeah, and just some of the videos that you've seen with him, it's just, dude's just nuts.
he brought a vibe.
Yes, he did. He brought a big vibe with that band.
All right, well, that was an awesome pick. Well, now we're going to get to my number one. Are you ready for number one here?
I don't think I am.
This one might surprise you.
Okay.
This one's going to kind of surprise everybody because, again, at the time they were considered hard rock, metal. Over the years, they've kind of just showcased hard rock. A very underrated bassist in my eye. And I chose the awesome, still alive, still standing Michael Anthony from Van Halen and Chickenfoot.
That surprises me. That totally comes out of left field.
Why does that come out of left field for you?
I don't know. It just
okay.
does.
Well,
with everybody else on your list, like him, it's just...
It sounds random.
I don't know what to say.
All right, well, let me throw out some stuff for you, and maybe you'll understand why. Okay, so Michael Anthony. For one, we have somebody who is a veteran. He came in around. He was with Van Halen from their first album, and like from both eras, he was with the David Lee Roth era. He was with the Hagar era, and then he was with the awesome and powerful Sharon era.
Yes, the greatest era ever.
And he's showcased his skills through multiple styles. And the other reason why, as a bassist, if you're going to have somebody in your band, he has amazing backup vocals too. And he has an energetic stage presence about him that he fits like glue with. No, you could put him with anybody. He could roll with Metallica. It'd probably be harder on him, but he could definitely roll with Megadeth. Yeah, but I definitely see him. He's very technical, has an awesome bass groove. But the other thing is I've seen him use a pick in one song only, but then everything else he does finger picking, and he is absolutely amazing. Good stage presence. He's one of the guys you want to watch at a live show. And also, he's got a lot of experience under his belt. Having played with both eras of Van Halen, that's a lot of variety there. Well, kind of with the David Lee Roth, but you know the bass sound. But then hearing the stuff that he's done with Sammy Hagar and Chickenfoot, and then hearing things that they covered by other bands has been phenomenal. He can do it all. And I don't think he gets enough credit. He doesn't get enough spotlight for what he does. And also, he doesn't get enough credit that he's still going strong today. And he's one of the older rock legends out there, still kicking ass at his age. And he is just a phenomenal player. So he's got all the tools that make a great bassist. So, and, he could also, if he needed to, he could easily teach bass. But, yeah, he's very underrated because he's another guy like Flea. He's just got that presence about him. Like, you don't want to turn away from Michael Anthony when he's playing bass for anybody. So,
Nice, very nice. Now I understand why you picked him number one. I'm still a little shocked. Probably not. Probably won't be shocked at my number one, but I'm shocked at your number one. My number one is a guy.
Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I just don't mean this. Forgot to mention the tracks, which he showcases.
Yeah.
The one I chose because it's the one that's most distinct to me now. And there's been plenty of others. Like there is a Finish What You Started. It's a simple song, but his bass, just that groove complements that little bit of lead guitar in there, and it's beautiful. But I have to go, and you can, yes, Pound Cake. It was, God damn it, not Pound Cake, but it was Panama. That's an honorable mention as well because the bass slaps and then the groove in that are very, they can hurt your ears.
Okay.
But I have to go with Pound Cake because that constant speeding groove picked with his fingers, and I actually watched other people play Pound Cake. There's one thing that Michael Anthony does different because there's a section in the song where he's constantly going up and down, but then he goes like it's like quick and brief.
Yeah.
I've seen people play with their fingers. It doesn't sound the same, and here's why. Michael Anthony starts the bass groove and then pounds the top of his bass with his fists to create that sound.
Oh, okay.
So he's not hitting any chords, but he manipulates the body of the bass and the pickups with his fists to create that groove. So I'm sorry. So going ahead, but yeah. So Pound Cake is an honorable mention for that.
Oh no, you have to do the track. So I mean,
yeah.
But my number one.
Back to his number one for real this time.
My number one is a guy who got, when they first got their front man, he got in a fight with them because they both like to run around on stage. And he likes, the bassist likes to be in the front, even though the front man thinks he needs to be in the front. Not only does he constantly keep picking with his fingers, but combine that with running around on stage, and even you have to admit you probably get tired. It doesn't look like he gets tired, and this dude's like pushing like 60. So he engages with the audience very well, points his guitar at him like a gun.
Yeah, I know who this is.
My number one bassist, my all-time favorite bassist, Steve Harris, Iron Maiden.
Oh, it's not Sam Rivers from Limp Bizkit?
Nope.
Okay.
Just Steve Harris, in my eyes, is everything a bassist should be. Should be prominent in the songs. His guitar can double his bass guitar doubles as anything just about. This is a band that has 3 lead guitarists, and their rhythm guitar is a bassist. So, I mean, that right there says it in itself. A lot of the songs, if you listen to the bass does not stop. It's just constantly going.
Oh, and I don't know if we can think of any tracks to showcase the bass on.
Oh, no, I had a tough time picking that, and I ended up picking Aces High.
Aces High, The Trooper.
Trooper was second, was the close runner-up on that one, because they're both just like, the thing about Trooper was the beginning, dun, 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 but Aces High is just dun, 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 just constantly, over and over.
Yeah, you can hear it.
So...
Like, he's definitely one of those guys, like, you know Iron Maiden's his band.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But just, I get joy watching him play. It's just, he's just always energizing and going and just running around on stage and just playing. I've seen him play with a pick once, and it was in a music video, so I don't even know if he plays with a pick. That could have just been for show, for all I know, honestly.
He probably had a hurt thumb or something.
Yeah, probably. So I've never seen him play with a pick, and it's just, guy's just amazing. To me, and I can only imagine what bass lessons would be like with him. And fun fact, he actually learned how to play bass on a what was it? I read the autobiography of Iron Maiden. It was like a box with strings on it. That's how he learned how to play bass.
Holy shit!
Yeah. So I just enjoy watching him. He's just amazing bassist to me, and he's my favorite. So
not a bad number one. Although Sam Rivers from Limp Bizkit might have something to say. No.
Yeah, probably.
Like, why wasn't I on this list? Why do you fucking think?
The one I actually wanted to ask you about, because I thought he was going to be on your list. I thought he was going to be like a little bit higher. Even though I know we don't really give the band like credit because they never change their sound. Tom from Slayer.
Tom from Slayer, and well, here's why. And don't get me wrong, his bass is phenomenal, and it's fast.
Yeah.
But, again, I really don't hear much different from Slayer. I really don't.
Yeah.
And this is where thinking outside the box and trying new sounds can hurt you or actually work against you because Slayer has just been so consistent. I haven't really seen what else Tom can do, whether it be live, whether it be, I don't hear him talk about any other songs. I don't know technically what he can do as a bass because he's done one thing for pretty much his whole life, and they don't change. And I'm not saying Slayer needs to change, but I would love to see more videos where he showcases what he can do. I'd like to hear more songs where he showcases what he can do. I don't really hear him, though. Because, and partly to that, I will say, is because also his sound gets drowned out by Kerry King's guitar a lot.
That's true.
Because remember, it's not Tom's band.
No.
No.
Well, why are all these guys that are in charge of bands assholes? Because I feel like Kerry King's an asshole too.
Well, and we could don't get me wrong. We can get started on Kerry King later on down the road, because I don't know, and we'll get more into Kerry King later as to why I think that is. But Kerry King is the Paul Stanley of Slayer. Everything runs through him. Not a peep happens. Nobody goes on tour unless he says it's okay.
Well, you could even tell just by some of the interviews. Tom has come out and said that he's Christian, but yet their songs talk about how there's no God or God hates you. So I mean, it goes through Kerry King.
Yeah. And I mean, it's one of those things where I really think being in the band Slayer kind of hurts his ability. Being in a band like Slayer could hurt anybody's ability because there's really no innovation there. And Slayer fans, fucking stick it, man, okay? They've been doing the same shit. Every album sounds damn near the same, okay? Slayer's not going to release anything that's going to surprise me, okay? They're just not. Now, if they did an all-acoustic album, I'd buy it because that would be different. I don't get hyped for Slayer because I know what they're going to bring. But if I want a band to stand up for metal who's consistent, you damn right Slayer is going to be at the forefront.
Right.
So there's no, I'm not knocking Slayer, but I'm definitely going to say that's why Tom didn't make my list, because I don't know enough of what he can do because he hasn't really showcased it. Okay. Being in Slayer's not going to do that for you. Sorry.
Yeah, fair enough. I just figured I'd bring it up because, you do have to give him credit. He is talented.
Oh, he's very talented.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love Slayer, but there is a time and place for Slayer in my life. Right now is not it.
I just figured I'd bring it up because, you're right. Now that you bring it up, since they don't really change their sound, it's really hard to gauge him because it's just fast and screaming. Let me tell
you something. This literally surprised the shit out of me one time. I saw an interview with Kerry King. He was on the Japanese show with Marty Friedman, former lead guitarist of Megadeth, and he said, literally, they have this segment in the show where they kind of talk about some of their influences and some of the bands that they played growing up. He played tracks from Venom and all these other heavier bands, right? Well, guess what? When he said he can play the rhythm parts and the leads from Hotel California, I about shit myself and fell off the stool because I didn't think he could play anything outside of Slayer. But then here's the other thing that kind of upsets me about Kerry King. You ready for this? What does he do every time? He says something kind of cool in an interview, and then he follows it up with something dumb as fuck to say. Every interview I've seen him do, he does that. And so right after he says he can play Hotel California by the Eagles, I was impressed because, oh my God, you can play something else other than Slayer. But he said, what's your go-to Slayer? He said, I warm up on, I could play Iron Maiden songs, but yeah, my favorite thing to play is fucking Slayer, man. It's oh my God, really? He is so full of himself. That is why I shut off from Slayer. And don't get me wrong, Slayer is one of those mood bands. If I am pissed off at the world, that is the first thing that is going in my music rotation is Slayer.
Right. I think that's for everybody just about.
But if I'm breaking it down and I have to go technical, honest to God, true quote from him. When I was asked who the best guitar player in the world was, I could have said myself, but I will say Gary Holt from Exodus is very underrated. How are you supposed to take that is a backhanded compliment, if you ask me.
What a fuck ass.
It's like you wanted to say yourself. But then I will say I give him credit because in the heat of the moment, he remembered there is somebody else who's been doing this way longer than I have, and I got to give this guy credit. And good thing, too, because Gary Holt is now playing in Slayer.
Funnier part about that is if Kerry King was such a good guitarist, Dave Mustaine would include him in his big three of rhythm guitar.
Oh, absolutely.
And Dave didn't.
Absolutely, no.
Dave included Angus Young over him.
Yeah, so something's got to be said, bro. I mean,
yeah, right?
Kerry King,
there's more to playing guitar than.
Oh, man, and here we are. I'm sorry, Slayer fans, but you got nothing else to bring to the table at that. Your conversation stops at this.
Right.
And let me just say this. If I do a top 10, Kerry King doesn't even make my top 10 because I know 20 other guitars better than him.
I was about to be like, Kerry King's not going to be in your top rhythm guitarist, is he?
Oh, God, no.
He won't be in mine either, don't worry.
And again, this is nothing against Slayer. We don't hate Slayer. We actually love Slayer. And we actually do look forward to covering Slayer, but come on, when you really break it down, they don't get enough credit for how good for doing direct quote David Elfson on the Phone Booth Fighting podcast when he was talking with Richard Hunter about Slayer. Slayer got brought up, and David Elfson even said it. And this is no disrespect. David Elfson said Slayer are the Ramones of thrash metal. They do one thing, and they do it really well.
Yep.
There you go.
Right.
God, okay, so let's move on from Slayer, please. I'm getting pissed just talking about this.
Oh, man. All right, so there's our top 5 bassists. Do we want to make the announcement of what we're doing here?
I'll let you make it.
All right. So when Richard Flash here proposed this idea, top 5 bassists, I brought up the idea, well, what if we do, the other instruments, and we decided this is the start of a 5-week mini event where we're going to be breaking down each position in a metal rock band. And an extra bonus when we do the front men, we're actually doing our front women as well, so you women out there get some love too.
Because it's 2018, it's about time they start getting more love.
Oh, front women are kick-ass, too. There's some good ones out there. But yes, we're going to break down every instrument, and I don't know if we know the exact schedule, but I know next week we are doing top 10 drummers. We're kind of just going by popularity and...
based on who we like.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Again, this is not to knock anybody's skill, because if we were to really sit there and do a hard skill-for-skill turbo elimination of drummers, we can do it, but that would require a lot more time. So we're definitely just kind of going with the bands that we grew up with, who we're familiar with now, and then shout-outs to those who impressed us over the years.
Now, I said top 10 because apparently...
Top 20 is going to be hard, people.
Apparently Flash thought that we were going to do top 10 bassists, but I can't find 10 bassists, so we did top 5, but everything else, as far as I know, except for the front women, I think we're only going to do top 5 for that, too, because there are front women, but there's not a lot, I guess you could say. I could
do a top 10. I really could, but then we'd have to do some digging, bro.
Yeah. A top 5, I think, would be, yeah. But everything else is going to be top 10 as far as I know. Drummers, rhythm guitarists, lead, and frontmen are all top 10.
And also because we have more experience about scouting what makes a good frontman and a good lead and rhythm guitarist, it's just easier for us to do top 10 lists for them.
Yep, but we figure we'd give you guys something to... a little 5-week mini event, because it's going to be leading into something we're going to announce later on, which is going to be happening in a month. So we'll announce that when we get closer to the date. But this is kind of like a bridge holdover until then. So
I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be fun.
Oh, I think so too.
We have to watch as much live concert footage as we can.
Oh yeah,
because that's the only way to do it, is go live. And also, other reasons why how we're going to be breaking down some of our frontmen is, what is the passion in the music video? What is their energy like on live? how they handle situations that go bad, how they control a crowd, how little they do to because some frontmen can do a lot and get a crowd worked into it, and then some guys just have to turn their head and that crowd follows them. So there's going to be a lot of variables to break down: frontmen, drummers, rhythm guitarists. It's going to be fun.
Yes. And another thing too, just to kind of we're going to do stage presence and stuff, but I know for a big one for me when it comes to the rhythm and lead guitars, I'm going to be looking at what they do while they play. I think a more talented guitarist is somebody who moves around on stage while playing. If you're standing in one spot and playing, you might still be talented, but you obviously can't multitask. And a big thing about live performances is interacting with the crowd. And some guitarists do that. So that'll be something I know I will be looking for.
So kind of to give you guys a little bit of an example, John Bertucci from Dream Theater, one of the best guitarists on the planet. 0 fucking stage presence.
I think when we saw him the one time, he had an X on the stage, and he had to stand on the X.
Yeah, he just stood there. It's like, well, okay, obviously.
He almost looked like he was afraid the pyro was going off, and if he was
something.
and if he moved, he was gonna get caught in the pyro.
Now, sometimes I don't know if it's because he's so focused on the song that he has to play, but
too complicated,
maybe I don't know. But John Bertucci is one of the most badass guitarist, can play anything you got, but you look at him on stage, he is a goddamn flame out. He doesn't draw me in.
Nope.
Does not draw you in at all live.
So safe to say he's not going to be on your top 10 either.
He might.
Oh, okay.
On guitar skill alone, that would be probably enough. He might start off my top 10. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because he's talented enough to where he could do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that guy is good even if he's on a night coasting. And that guy never coasts.
Okay.
So major shout out to John Bertucci. Please move on the stage. Do something, please.
Yes, just point at the crowd.
That's
all I
know
want.
That you're there. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, little tangent of mine. But stuff like that we can critique. Now, somebody who's well, Dave Mustaine, he's not moving anywhere, but he is multitasking. But he's got a powerful stage presence when he has that mic.
I would say the criteria for the not moving on stage thing would be if they're a frontman and playing guitar, that's a different story.
Yeah, that is a different story.
You obviously can't move around. There's only a few people I know that play guitar and run around on stage. So, I would say if you're standing still but you're singing still, that counts.
Yeah, so, that's fine right there. So I'm definitely excited for that. So are you ready to move on to the next segment, bud?
I am ready.
All right. So I will let you announce this because I know this was surprisingly very fun for you.
Are we going by the title of the episode?
Yes, we are.
Oh, yes. Our start to finish, our Sebastian Bach catalog.
That's right, the solo albums of Sebastian Bach. This was a fun journey. I thought this was more fun. This ended up being more fun than I thought it was going to be.
It was fun, but wait till you hear my views on it.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. So, first album that I don't know, which album did you, take me through your side of it, because I want to know yours right now. But we reviewed the albums of Give 'Em Hell, Angel Down, and Kicking and Screaming.
I'm going to start this off by saying I did like these albums. However, and I had fun listening to this, but they're albums that I'm not going to go back and listen to unless I'm in a Sebastian Bach kick.
Okay, fair enough. Very fair.
And the main reason why, you've known me for 11 years, I like vocalists a lot.
Yeah.
There's something about his voice on those albums I do not like.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the production or the way they mixed it or what, but it's too high for me. I like Sebastian Bach of old in Skid Row.
Okay, and now funny that you mentioned that because he actually did mention on that podcast with Eddie Trunk that Pro Tools, they made they critiqued his vocals to sound almost too perfect in a way. So
right.
it was almost like like the old Skid Row albums, that's him. That is as raw as it can get.
I think that was the problem. I went into these albums and
a little polished.
Don't forget. I liked them, but I went into the album expecting "I Remember You" and "18 in Life" lyric vocals, and I did not get that.
Right.
I got these like high, did not sound like Sebastian Bach vocals pretty much, and it disappointed me a little bit.
And I think a lot of that was because it was a lot of polished production, high production work. And I think they were using Pro Tools to kind of like critique the vocals maybe too high.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the raw Sebastian-ness, you're right.
This is one of them situations where normally polished vocals would probably be good. This is one of them situations where it hurt.
He doesn't need them.
Nope, it hurt. If anything, it hurt my overall experience into this journey with these albums. The guitar was great. All the instruments were great. It was a pure metal record. They all were. But with that being said, the vocals, man, I felt like
it didn't ruin it, but it kind of undershot your expectations.
I had this album cover of like Sebastian Bach on fire.
Right, kicking and screaming.
It had Sebastian Bach written on the top. And I press play on this album, and I don't hear Sebastian Bach, and that really made me sad.
But that's not to say it was a bad album.
No, it was good.
Go-to.
Yeah, it was good, but like it wasn't Sebastian
too
Bach.
Polished, I think. Because like when you hear him with Skid Row, it's raw, gritty material, and it was a Sebastian. Well, also let's not forget those were his best years, because Sebastian can still do a lot of what he can do back in the day, but this one did have like, I think it was because it sounded so polished, because I think it was like, these are my solo albums, so I want to polish them up as much as possible. But even he commented and said like when they would do things with the Pro Tools to almost make him sound too high or too polished, too good, it kind of takes away from the rawness. But having said that, we still had 3 damn good albums to listen to.
Yep. Mm-hmm. They were good. It's just that if I want to hear Sebastian Bach, I'll probably go listen to old Skid Row.
Right. Or maybe not over Pro Tools his vocals so much on the next album.
Yes. If you let him go in there raw, man, that's different.
Because Bach Live is still Bach Live.
Yeah, so. That's what I want to hear. But no, it was good. I'm glad I got to listen to him. A lot better than the Van Halen journey, I'll tell you that much. I was not like gouging my eyes out as I was listening to this. Like, it was quick, it was short, it was sweet. 3 albums, I was done. I was like, okay, good. Went back and listened to them a second time just to make sure. It was all right. It was okay.
Okay. Well, and hey, that's still good. That's still a good review. I was personally a little amped for it because here was the thing is when I was listening to this and I was going to take this plunge, I put Skid Row completely out of my head.
Okay.
And so when I went into this, I was like, well, let me hear what Bach can do on his own. I will admit it probably sounds a little over-polished on the vocals, but I will say the quality, the production, the crispness of everything else was perfect. It couldn't have sounded any better than like you wanted it to. And so that is but I didn't let the vocals kill me on that because the music was there, the energy was there, so I was like, well, this is still Bach. I will say you could definitely tell the change in his voice, but it's still it's very nice, and I still got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And I gotta say, dude, Kicking and Screaming from start to finish was a fucking killer album.
They were good.
I thought they were great.
It's you and me, like, even though we have like the same taste, we just look at some of the aspects a little differently.
We look at different angles.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Me, vocals are a big thing. When we do our top 10 frontmen, the listeners are going to notice that vocals are a big thing when it comes to me.
Absolutely.
But
for me, rhythm, guitar, and leads.
You're more of a perfect example would be John Schaefer's side project, Sons of Liberty. That's more of your type of like where the vocals and stuff, how you look at it, basically.
Okay.
That's what I would say, and that's probably why we both looked at the Sebastian Bach albums a little differently. We both think they're great albums. It's just that the vocals turned it off for me.
Well, I will say it was weird for me because I kind of listened to them, and I think I did the correct order. I did Kicking and Screaming first, and then I did Angel Down, and then the last one I did was the Give 'Em Hell 2014 one. And I will say this, in the journey, for me, it kind of it had an awesome peak, and then it kind of did dip dive a little bit. So it started off strong, ending, the middle was good, the ending was pretty, it had that, the ending wasn't like a big explosion of 4th of July fireworks.
Okay.
So the ending kind of dropped off a little bit for me, and that was because a lot of those songs, that was definitely a different album, Give 'Em Hell was. It was good, though. Still liked it. Still liked songs like The Single Temptation. Awesome song. Kicking and Screaming, the actual song itself, I definitely would say is a damn good solo song from Sebastian. Great energy. Loved it. And then, of course, a lot of the feature songs from Angel Down, like Back in the Saddle again with Axl Rose there. That was a nice touch.
Yeah.
Adding Axl Rose in there and both of those guys just flailing off and just going nuts. So I will say, with songs like Back in the Saddle, like that is about as close to old school Guns N' Roses and Skid Row as you're going to get from that solo experience. So that was a very well done song. Overall, though, it definitely had a strong beginning, strong middle, and a pretty strong ending. It could have been better, the overall experience, but it wasn't bad.
No, it wasn't. He's one of those very few guys that come from the 80s, too, that actually, as far as the music is concerned, it evolved with the times. His guitar in that album sounds like something that comes straight out of nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
It's
absolutely. So he did evolve with the times.
Yeah, it's not like an 80s singer trying to reclaim that glory of 80s music, which I was afraid of going into this.
He's not trying to fight and hold on to his Skid Row legacy.
No, he totally cranked the distortion up on these guitars and everything, and it's a metal record. It's the vocals.
You want to know something interesting about that album, Kicking and Screaming? He actually, just before he was writing that album, he lost his house in a hurricane.
Oh,
and then
really?
his marriage was coming to an end of almost 20 years.
Jesus.
So he was going through a lot. And also right around that time after Kicking and Screaming was done, he lost the main guitarist from that album.
Jesus.
And because they had a falling out, and he actually went out and said he had a hard time including songs into the set list from Kicking and Screaming because going back, revisiting all that pain that he was going through at the time, like, Jesus Christ, it was a lot for him. And also because he liked that guitar player so much, and they had a falling out, and then he was like, well, shit. And the guitar sounds that he captured, I will say, like you said, they sound phenomenal. They sound great. They sound modern day. And he brought that modern flair that Sebastian was looking for. And so because it reminds him of so many harsh times, he kind of has a hard time putting some of those songs into the set list. But I guess he recently did put back Kicking and Screaming back in. So that's a little interesting fact right there.
Kind of like Bon Jovi putting Raise Your Hands back in.
Bold move. Bold move. I hope it works for you, bro.
Right? Well, I guess we'll have to see. So
I guess we'll have to see, but from that last recent clip that I heard, he had a good night. He belted it out, so.
Okay.
And that was a 2018 performance, so.
Good for Bon Jovi.
Yeah, well, good for these vocalists who are finding ways to add new life back into their vocalists. If they're seeing some guru, please send them to Paul Stanley.
I was say, don't be like Paul Stanley. I really love you, baby.
Oh man, and that was a tragedy.
Makes me so sad.
But let me ask you something. Like, did you notice the dynamic change from Kicking and Screaming to Angel Down and then to Hell and Back?
Yeah, I noticed.
What were your thoughts on that?
I don't. natural, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really all I can say.
Which one was heavier, Kicking and Screaming or Angel Down?
I'd have to say Kicking and Screaming.
Yeah, Kicking and Screaming.
Yeah,
I definitely had that one. Angel Down started off very strong, though.
Yes, it did. But yeah, no, I'm glad that it progressed. I mean, they weren't all like that wasn't consistent like Slayer.
Again, folks, we don't hate. We do tease, though. We tease very badly. But overall, if Sebastian Bach were to hit here live and he was going to bring that set list, would you go see it?
I'd probably go see it.
Oh, fuck yeah, I'd go see it, man, because Bach Alive is a whole nother performance. So
I want to watch her toss the microphone around again. That's what I want to see.
He does it every show, bro.
Okay, good. I'll go see that show. That
particular one we watched, he lost it.
I'll go see that show. We'll go see Van Halen. I'll go see that show.
Oh, well, you won't go see Van Hagar?
Okay, maybe I'll go see Van Hagar.
But yeah, if David Lee Roth shows up, we're out of there.
Yeah, no. If they break like half the set list is Van Hagar and half is Van Roth, I'll be like, I'm out of here. See you later.
Now, I would go back if Sharon showed up.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No, probably not.
But they call everything best of both worlds, not best of three worlds.
So overall, would you recommend these albums to our audience?
After I broke them in a little bit, yeah. I'd recommend them before Skid Row.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Okay, so you would tell them listen to Bach now before Skid Row?
Yep, because I don't want
the expectations.
I don't want people to fall in the same trap I did, thinking we're gonna hear like that, and then we get computerized Bach. So
right, and Sebastian, if you ever hear this, man, we fucking love you. We think you're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing.
Please don't pull an Eddie Trunk on me, please. Don't just put in your book those podcasters.
But also, while we're on the subject of Sebastian Bach, I got something else to review and announce. I finished his book, 18 in Life on Skid Row. I got to tell you, from start to finish, this is a trip of a ride. You are going to hear things that you would have never expected. And there's that funny segment, which was a highlight for me, about him being on the Eddie Trunk show and
DJ.
Just that DJ and why he went into that. That was funny as hell. And so, but then you hear like his love for Kiss. You hear funny ass stories. He even touches a little bit on the Damocracy experience of when they were doing the supergroup show and what that was like. So he gets to talk about what it was like playing alongside Ted Nugent and Jason Bonham and then Scotty Ian, and how he just developed an awesome relationship with those guys, but then kind of what the VH1 experience was like. He talks about his experiences of his former manager, Doc McGee, who went on to manage other bands like Bon Jovi, and who is now currently managing Kiss, believe it or not.
Yeah, I remember that. He was supposed to go on Eddie Trunk's show, and he canceled because Paul found out.
Yep.
So, again, everything runs through Paul.
Yeah, so, I mean, but Sebastian Bach's book, it talks about his childhood, about growing up in the Bahamas, how one night, apparently his babysitters turned out to be gypsies who were trying to lift a curse off of him while his parents were away. And he talks about how his dad was actually his biggest influence as far as music goes. And then he even goes into the story of how he got the name Sebastian Bach. Awesome read.
Sounds like
entertaining as fuck. I loved it. This one I recommend. I thought it was 5 out of 5 stars.
Oh, nice.
This was up there, and I'm huge into band documentaries and autobiographies. So, and also for your little pleasure, Sebastian Bach also would like to let you know, if you want to hear this book on Audible, he voiced over the entire book. So you get Sebastian Bach reading it on Audible if you sign up for Audible and download the Audible version. Yeah, and by the way, reading this book, I'm trying to picture him in his voice, dude. It adds so much more. So I am actually going to get the Audible version too and listen to it. And we'll see how that goes. But I highly recommend Sebastian Bach, 18 in Life, My Life on Skid Row. Get it. It's a hell of a book. And if it comes out with a revised version, I'm going to read that version too. All to see Eddie Trunk's big fonted name in there.
Now, I have to ask really quick before we move on to the next segment, because
Go for it.
I've read, is it true that Sebastian left Skid Row because he wanted to open for Kiss and the band didn't want to open for Kiss, and he was like, "You're never too big to open for Kiss"?
Yeah.
That was really it, huh?
That story, that whole thing is in his book. And then
So-
how that started.
So he really
with
left
management. Yes.
he really left Skid Row because of the Kiss thing.
Well, it wasn't so much because it was Kiss. It was the idea of your band is never too big or too little. And they just didn't see it that way. They thought themselves to be above Kiss in that they were too great. They didn't even want to tour with Kiss.
Skid
So they
Row's not
didn't
above
even
Kiss.
So they wanted to do that. They wanted to be the headliners, and he was like, "No, man." Like he goes into great detail about it. I'm not going to spoil it, but that segment is in the book.
Okay.
So you will find out about that. But yes, that is a confirmed fact.
Okay. I'll have to check it out now.
That's an
'cause,
interesting chapter.
Yeah, that's
Because that's kind of when things start slowly spiraling down, and then he starts having his fallout out with Skid Row.
Oh, okay.
So that was towards the last of the last good Bach days. So
Okay. All right. I'll have to check it out. Thanks for that review.
yeah, absolutely, go get it.
Go out and read.
Yeah, if you want the Audible version and you want to listen to it, get it because you're going to get Sebastian Bach narrating. So
And that's going to be awesome. If you ever
that's worth the Audible subscription alone.
let's say, if you ever heard Bach talk in real life, that's going to be a fun trip.
Oh yeah, man!
Hey, Axel! Axel!
I would love to take a car trip with him. But yeah, so that is my review of his book. And on the way, what else do we got, buddy?
Well, now that we finished Sebastian Bach start to finish, we might as well announce our last, for the time being, start to finish.
All right, go for it.
Which is next week. And there's a reason why we picked this band, because we're actually going to go into a hotly topic coming up here. We are doing System of a Down, start to finish next week.
Or more like it's going to be like why the system is down.
Yes. And the reason why we're doing System of a Down is because me personally, I generally think this is it. Your 5 albums that you got from System of a Down, that's what you're going to get. You're not getting anything else. This band's over with. And I think what's actually going to happen is Scars on Broadway is actually a spiritual successor to System of a Down. It's System of a Down without System of a Down, basically. So that's why we're doing start to finish. It's going to be kind of like a bittersweet send-off. And if they somehow pull an album out of their ass, then yeah, we'll do that as a spotlight. But this is kind of more of like a goodbye to System of a Down type.
Because with all the news, the social media, all the stories adding up, we just kind of... You just got that feeling, man. It's like, Darren's got the gauntlet, man. This is he's gonna poof
fucking
away.
Thanos.
Yeah, he's Thanos, man. He's gonna poof away half the audience. So.
I'm gonna snap my fingers in, take out the line.
But yeah, I really kind of feel like this is
I'll snap my bitch right here in Hollywood.
I think they just hit an impasse, and I personally feel like this is like one of those times where it's like, yep, it was fun while it lasted.
It's such a shame too, because like this type of climate that we're in.
Big shame, because they were one of those bands who, when we were screaming for change, they gave it to us.
Well, like they're the type of band where with the political climate that we're in right now, this is a band that would like fuel off of that. Like that could probably be like their best record just because of what's going on. Because I'm going to read the quotes here in just a second, what led to all this and why we're doing this start to finish. But my thought on System of a Down with their whole hiatus is they went on hiatus at the perfect time. They went in 2006. 2008, we ended up getting Obama in as president, and everything was peachy keen. Nobody was really hating everybody.
No.
It was like,
and for the most part,
everybody embraced each other.
Yeah.
And then we get this everything that's going on. It's like, I felt like when I was thinking about this, if System of a Down was still making music between 2008 and 2016, it probably wouldn't have been their best material, because what are you going to write about?
it wouldn't have been as good.
You can't write about the president fucking up society, because he wasn't really fucking up society. Like, you can't write about like hate or anything, because nothing was really going on. I can't remember anything between those 8 years that happened. But now 2016,
The year of hate.
yeah, like that's perfect for this, like a band like this, because
Like if Rage Against the Machine were to make a comeback, now would be the time.
The System of a Down is the type of band where, like when Goku turned Super Saiyan, the System of a Down, Trump getting elected is like them turning Super Saiyan. Like they could easily put out their best material now. And what you're about to see when I read these quotes, there's one fucking prick that's doing all this.
And I haven't had a chance to read the quotes, so you're going to be reading this to me, so you'll get my response as well.
Okay, this is going to be lengthy because he did put out a big, long Facebook message in response to this. So, here we go. So, back on July 12th, Darren's new Scars on Broadway album just recently came out, Dictator, and he was promoting it. And, of course, every single time Darren goes on an interview, or any of these poor guys, actually, for that matter, go on interviews, they always get asked about a System of a Down record, which I don't blame them because, let's face it, whenever I type in System of a Down the internet, it's to see if they have a new album. Basically, they asked them about the album, and I feel like at this point, everybody's just getting fed up with each other because before they weren't throwing out names, but you can kind of guess who they were talking about. But now they're throwing out names. Like, this is like totally hardcore.
Usually when a band throws out another band member's name, that's it.
Yep. And this is basically what he said. This is what Darren said. As of right now, it's not looking like we're doing something together soon, album-wise. They're still playing live concerts, so I just want to justify that really quick, which I find very weird. How can you do live shows but not make an album? Like, how can you say you're good with the other band members live but can't write an album? If anything, I think you would be like killing each other if you're playing live. Like, at least when you're making an album, you go home after a 9 to 5. Like, when you're doing a tour, you're in the tour bus with each other. So, but
everything's all peachy on the tour bus. Yet what's going on in the studio?
But anyway, so he says, I can't close the book on it and say it's done forever. We still play live. We're all still friends. Again, I don't understand that. He continued, there are some creative differences as well as what direction each one of us wants to make the next System album, which that ever happens, which is fine. I'm not sitting here upset or anything. The only thing I'm a little frustrated with is was waiting for that to maybe happen or not happen. Too much time has passed since I've released anything with Scars or System, but it's never too late. And then he further elaborated, I don't want to throw Serge under the bus, but he's my friend and he's someone that I care about. But I don't know how to change his mind. We've all sat down and we've had meetings and he totally set in his way of thinking. Serge was never really a heavy metal or rock guy. I don't know if he has that same love for the kind of music as I do, which, after hearing Serge's solo stuff, I could totally see that. I'm a kid that grew up with Slayer and Kiss on my walls. Kiss! Serge didn't grow up feeling that way. He didn't grow up a diehard fan. So I feel like the whole experience of becoming a lead singer in a hugely successful band was different for him than my experience was for me. To be honest with you, Serge didn't even want to make Mesmerize and Hypnotize. I really begged him to make those records. At that time, he felt like he was out. And that's what Darren had to say. Now, a day later, Serge came out on his Facebook page with a big, lengthy statement, kind of like trying to explain what was going on. Now, I do give Serge credit for coming out with this statement because he does admit to some things in here, and a lot of rock stars won't do that. They'll be like,
a lot of people will just bury
so,
it.
I mean, he comes out and admit this, but at the same time, when we get into our views, you're going to see that I don't really agree with it. Confession About Sode by Serge Tankian. We are extremely lucky mofos for our fans to want to record out of our want a record out of our ragtag misfit crew after all these years, at times demanding it. This, of course, has led to numerous rumors about the band and our inability to make a record together, coupled with he said excerpts from each of our interviews in the past and present at times by sensationalism seeking media who are in no way, let's say, changing the world for better themselves. So I am going to attempt to clarify for all of our sake, once and for all, hopefully without vilifying anyone in the process. It is true that I, and only I, was responsible for the hiatus Sode took in 2006. Everyone else wanted to continue at the same pace to tour and make records. I didn't. Why? For numerous reasons. 1. Artistic. I've always felt continuing to do the same thing with the same people over time is artistically redundant, even for a dynamic outfit like ours. By that time, I felt I was needed a little time to do my own work. I wasn't discounting restarting the process with the band later. 2. I'm going to butcher this word, but I don't care. Egalitarianism. When we first started out, our creative input and financial revenue split were close to equal within the band. By the time Mesmerized Hypnotized came around, we were at diametrically opposite ends on both, with Darren controlling both the creative process and making the lion's share of publishing, not to mention wanting to be the only one to do press. 3. I wanted to leave the band before Mesmerized Hypnotized for these developing reasons. This is why I personally don't feel as close to the music on those records. There were songs I wanted to bring in but were hampered by unkept promises coupled by my own passivity at that time. Time went by and we all did our own thing. My solo career gave me the confidence as a songwriter and later composer to revisit Sode from a position of strength at first, just to tour and enjoy each other's company, which we did and do still. I knew they wanted to make a record, but given the past, I was hesitant. At times, there would be emotionally tinged outbursts by one member or another, mostly blaming me for the band's inactivity. After a long time thinking and processing, about 2 years ago, I went to the guys with a proposition for a way forward as the band. I wanted to rectify the wrongs of the past and establish a way we can all be happy about moving forward, so I recommended the following. 1. Equal creative input. By the time I released 5 of my own records and was a better songwriter musically, and Darren was getting better as a lyricist, so I said, let's each bring in 6 songs with all band members approved fully, and work on them along with songs and riffs from Shavo. 2. Equal publishing rights. I personally feel that a band is an equal partnership, and finances should reflect that. 3. Director's cut. Whoever wrote the songs makes the final decision after exhausting all types of ideas from anyone within the group. I did this because in the past I would bring in a song and that would be morphed into an undesirable version that I myself would withdraw from consideration. 4. Develop a new concept or theme so that it's not just a record but a full experience. Obviously, I'm omitting many details here, like agreeing on the sound of the new record, which we couldn't do either, as we went back and forth with songs by Darren and myself. I remember sending lots of notes on songs by Darren, mostly from his current Scars on Broadway record, most of which I didn't consider applicable to Sode. They played around with some of my songs, suffice to say, I think we tried. Ultimately, I had to draw the line in the sand because I knew I could never be happy going back to how things were used to be within the band. As we couldn't see eye to eye all these points, we decided to put aside the idea of a record all together for the time being. My only regret is that we have collectively unable to give you another Sode record. For that, I apologize. Thank you for reading. So that is what Serge said. I'm actually going to go look right now. The drummer actually came out with a statement after that, too. His was a little bit more... kind of included everybody. He didn't have to blame on one person. His statement was, many theories and much speculation have circulated through the years, with blame focused on one member of the band for lack of new material. If that is true, then why is that? Every action has a cause, every reaction has a cause, and the truth is each member of the band is equally responsible for both our incredible success on our previous records and our unbelievable failure to get along and make music together. Not one of us, rather all of us are to blame. Egomania, eccentricities, megalomania, and sometimes just stupidity all play a role. To our fans, I am truly sorry for letting you down. To the songs that could have been, I am sorry you haven't. So as you can see from all 3 of those statements, you can understand why I think the band is over. What are your thoughts on all that? Being this is the first time.
I gotta be honest, first time hearing that is pretty nuts. And also, it just kind of sounds it's a product of at least it's a product of just creative differences, but that's usually more than enough to tear a band apart.
Right.
Because everybody thinks it should sound a certain way, and it sounds like he's so focused, just wanting to make his solo career a bigger success, that he's kind of just, like he said, he drew the line in the sand, which I respect to a degree because...
Oh, I respect that he came out and admitted he was the hiatus, because even though everybody knew that, it's like he took the blame for that. So I give him respect for that, but continue.
This is still... The part that's confusing me is I'm hearing nothing but excellent live show, excellent live show, excellent live show. No new studio album. Why? I don't get it. And even though they gave us a bit of an explanation, I mean, and I'm sorry, you know, I'm not in the music industry, but I'll say, if I was getting paid what they were doing, fuck, I'm going to shut the fuck up and do my job and give the fans what they want, because this is the whole reason. Serge seems like one of those guys. He joined a band, but he always had this back plan to jumpstart his solo career later.
Kind of like, I'm going to use this name to jumpstart my career.
And he didn't think it would be as big as it was, and it ended up being bigger than he expected. And it's obviously
whereas
bigger
his
than
solo career is kind of just
I'm
a
sorry,
fart in
but
the wind.
I'm sorry, Serge, but System of a Down is far bigger than your solo career.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Scars on Broadway is far bigger than your solo career. So, and I'm not saying your career is bad. It's just that's not what we want right now.
He's a one-hit wonder when it comes to his solo career. He had one okay album with one good song on it, and the rest of the stuff he put out, he doesn't even fucking know what he wants to write.
Wow. Okay, so now since you put it that way, and that's coming from the mouth of you, I trust that a lot.
Well, look at his albums. He's got 5 studio albums out. The first one's a pure rock album, which is the one with the Empty Walls on it, which is the okay one with the good song, which Empty Walls is a good song. And then the second album after that is some industrial orchestra crap. And
so
then
he doesn't know what
and then
he
the third
wants to
album
do.
after that, he tried to make a rock album, and it's not really that great. And then after that, he puts out some jazz album, and then another fucking orchestra album. This guy doesn't know what he wants to do.
Right, and so this is one of those things where, God damn it, and it tears so many bands apart, but it's like, if you really meant and are grateful for your fans, you're going to stop fucking around in that studio with your own solo shit, soldier up, find it somehow. I don't care how you do it, but you need to dig deep, and you need to give us another System of a Down album.
A symphony, he doesn't understand that a symphony album is not sewed material, and yet from that statement that he put out, he feels like his material is sewed material, and Darren's is not. I could tell you right now, listening to Scars on Broadway,
it's closer.
That's a lot closer. I could tell you exactly who writes all the songs in System of a Down after listening to that, and it's Darren. And he's all like equal share and everything like that. Serge, you don't get a share if you don't write any of the song.
Right?
That's like Lars getting credit for Dave Mustaine's stuff. It's not going to happen.
No. Hell no, that's not going to happen. And should it happen?
No, it's I give him props for coming out and admitting everything, but his points, while they may make sense, in this scenario they don't.
and again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not in the music industry, but if I were, I know for a fact when it's time to hit that stage, hit that studio, and do my job, at the end of the day, I've always, even if I didn't like it, I've done my job.
Right.
And if they were paying me what they were paying me to make music like that, you bet your ass I'm going to be in that studio, soldier on, keep my mouth shut. Granted, look at it with a better business view, but I'm going to do my job.
Right. And there's a reason as to why some bands have a formula, like how they write music. There's a reason as to why, if you look at, we'll get into more detail next week with this, but there's a reason as to why System of a Down's album catalog is consistent and good.
Yeah, it's very good.
They're one of the very few bands where their whole catalog, there's not a bad record.
No.
And the reason they changed their sound up too, again, not Slayer.
No.
They changed their sound up. Mesmerize and Hypnotize are totally different albums from the first 3.
But they sound great, and they sound like System of a Down
and
records.
the reason why their whole catalog is so consistent and solid and not a single bad thing is in there is because there is a primary songwriter, and that is Darren. If you start throwing in 6 songs from Serge, you're going to have half an album that's sewed material and then half of the album that sucks. Because all of a sudden you're going to get fucking strings and orchestra and saxophones in there. And when I think of System of a Down, I don't think of saxophones.
No.
I think of straight up heavy guitar, you killed our people, genocide,
Now, if
fuck
they're stomping
politics.
on a saxophone in the song, okay.
Yeah, right? That's what I think of when I think of Sode. Or even that occasional fucking weird song that's like, la 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 la.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, and
Songs like Pogo Stick.
yeah, like, you know, it's stuff like that. And he, like you said, he just needs to shut up and do it. Like, he's got a solo. I mean, as sucky as it is, he has a solo career. If he doesn't like the process,
go back to it.
If he doesn't like the process, put out the album and then fucking go do a solo album. You guys are big enough to where you don't need a tour for 3 years after a new album.
No.
You guys can tour for a year after a new album, then you can go do your solo shit. Look at Stone Sour and Slipknot. Corey Taylor goes and does a Slipknot album, and then he does the tour, and then he goes and does his solo.
And
side
make
stuff.
no mistake about it, he said the only reason Stone Sour was allowed to thrive was because Slipknot willingly stepped back for a while.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what do you think is the top priority out of those two bands?
Slipknot, hands down.
Hands down. But I love me some Stone Sour.
Right.
So.
And Corey knows that Slipknot is the one that got him his money.
He's going to do his job.
Yep.
He's going to put that mask back on and soldier his ass out there.
Yeah, sweat his ass off.
Fucking lungs out. Because, why? Because he knows how this business works.
Right. He knows that there's a time and a place. You know, I made a Stone Sour record. I did my tour. I have to go do Slipknot now because I can't just be like, oh, I have ideas for a new Stone Sour album, so I'm going to put Slipknot on hold. He knows that after that tour cycle and that's done, he has to go do Slipknot. He does his job.
I bring up an interesting theory then. Do you honestly think that this album hasn't happened from Surge because he doesn't know his audience that well anymore?
I think so. You can look at it by his solo career.
Because
he was playing Ozfest when he first started soloing.
Right.
And now all of a sudden, I haven't heard a peep out of him, but even though he's put out 4 records.
Yeah. I haven't heard any tours or anything from him. And do you think it's because the System of a Down audience saw what was happening and goes, I want to follow this guy, but I just can't?
I've seen a lot of backlash when it comes to Surge. A lot of the Sode fans definitely placed a finger on him, which I do too. Also, I think he did lose his audience. I don't think he knows, because when System went on their hiatus first and they both announced side projects, a lot of System fans probably thought they were going to get more of that.
Yeah.
And they did with Darren, and they did it with Surge. And I think you're right. He probably lost his audience, and he has no fucking idea. He's out of time. Their last album was 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And there are tours that they're doing, these reunion shows or whatever they want to call them. They get the Sode fans, but I don't think he knows what they want. He probably he's looking out for more himself than he is. He says, "I'm sorry to the fans for getting that music, but you're not happy with the process. Suck it up, Buttercup."
Right? I mean, come on, like if System of a Down held an open audition for that kind of money, but also you do it because you love it, but also I think that kind of deflated his balloon a little bit when he wasn't getting the same love that Scars on Broadway were getting, because, well, quite frankly, the majority of your audience, this is where it's very important. Know your audience and be faithful to them.
Exactly. And I'm going to bring up a very crazy idea. You don't need Surge to be System of a Down.
Ooh, that's going to be a little tough, but you can do it. Don't get me wrong, you can do it. But is Surge really essential to System of a Down? That is a good question.
I don't think so. If he's
I
not
don't think
writing,
so either.
If he's not writing a bulk of the music's not going to change. The voice will change.
And don't
about
get me wrong,
it.
sadly, this puts you in that category of, well, you have an awesome voice, so obviously we want you to sing for us.
But come on, people in some of the songs where he does see, I could do it right there.
You just did.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do the I can't do that.
So
but
he has a unique voice in his own right, and so I could also see where System of a Down fans would be divided and want him back because, well, yeah, that's the System of a Down I grew up listening to. But at the same time, I don't think this is a Van Halen situation where you have to have David Lee Roth. No, it still functions on its own because then Van Halen showed, we got Sammy Hagar. Sound changes a little bit, but guess what? It's still Van Halen.
The songwriting process in System of a Down on their older albums, after hearing all this, sounds like a 75-25. 75% was Darren, 25 is Serge. And you take away that 25, you ain't changing the music. This is not a situation where Judas Priest gets rid of a drummer and then comes out with Painkiller with a new drummer, and that's a totally different sound. You get rid of Serge, and I think the music's going to be the same.
Yeah. And obviously we know the lyrics are there.
Yeah. It's going to be the same. It's going to be the same music.
Who's to say, with all these, contrary to you, what if System of a Down pulls a Journey and holds an open, wide audition, and they just find somebody who sounds like Serge?
Work for Journey.
Work for Journey.
A lot of people. I was about to say, a lot of people think this new guy's a lot better than, what's his name?
Steve Perry.
Steve Perry, yeah. So,
like, one comment in one of the Journey videos was, did they clone Steve Perry's voice and put it in this kid? Because, like, wow.
Right?
Yeah, and he fucking killed it.
AC/DC.
AC/DC's another one, yeah.
They switched.
Like, how are they going to recover from this? And then you got Brian Johnston coming out.
Like the only difference between him and the old singer is he's a little bit more, what's the term I'm looking for? His
liquored
voice,
up.
Yeah, pretty much. His voice compared to the first singer.
Scott?
Yeah, Bon Scott. Brian Johnson's more of, like his is more like that, whereas Bon Scott's wasn't, but they still sound the same.
Sound fucking close. So, yeah, I mean, it can be done, folks.
Screechy. That's what I was looking for. Brian Johnson's a little bit more screechy.
It can be done, folks. Like, literally, like, and plus, who would not jump at the chance to sing for System of a Down?
Oh, fuck yeah, right?
So, realistically, it's like, and I hate to say it, but I think Serge kind of came to grips with, fuck, it's not all about, I think he knows deep down, they don't need him to continue.
I think it's jealousy, maybe?
Maybe, I don't know.
When they went and broke do you think that maybe he was so mad at the process at the time with Darren taking a bulk of it? Do you think that maybe when they went on hiatus, he was hoping that Darren's side career would go off the tracks and his would go good, and then they would come back begging him?
And then they just found out it's not that way at all, bro.
Maybe like come back like, oh, Serge, we need to do System because my stuff's not working, and then Serge could use that as leverage to get more writing credit, maybe
more say.
Yep.
Well, and because, like, let's look at the politics nowadays as far as music's concerned. If you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, like one guy I have to say is a perfect example, Mike Portnoy in Dream Theater. That was his band, the band he founded, but because he didn't dot his I's, cross his T's, make the right moves, he got kicked out of his own fucking band and replaced.
Right?
Like that just goes to show you nobody's safe in today's music industry.
No.
Because it is still that. It's a business.
Yeah.
And it has to be, it's built on a certain foundation. And, like, sadly, it's one of those, like, because, like I said, that whole Dream Theater situation, perfect example. He's the drummer. He does backup vocals, but he founded the band. It was his band. He was in the band for over almost 30 years. Look what happened because he didn't lawyer up. He didn't make the right moves that you had to make. Boom, it's not his band anymore.
The only person I can think of off the top of my head that would be safe from getting kicked out of their own band is Steve Harris of Iron Maiden. If they implode, Dave Mustaine. If they imploded, Dave's going with them. Megadeth's going with Dave Mustaine. Iron Maiden's going with Steve Harris. But even Metallica, James and Lars formed the band. But if something happened and Lars and James had a falling out, that name's going with Lars. That's not going with James.
Yep.
So it's nobody's safe, and he knows that he's expendable.
Yeah, and that's one of the other fortunate things that people have to deal with in the music industry today. But I think we've burnt enough time on this topic, so we're going to leave that open to more discussion. But that's just a little preview of how far we can dig into this.
Yeah.
We still got more to discuss, people. So that's a nice little preview of next week's show. But for now, it is time to move on to our last and funnest segment, Album Spotlight.
Ah, yes, I totally forgot about this. And I was the one that picked it.
And we have a special one for you, ladies and gentlemen, this week. We are doing Judas Priest, the Turbo. So
stop on the red, go on the green.
Never ride on somebody else's machine and always ride with turbo power. That's right.
Yep.
Yeah, we memorized that whole fucking UK commercial.
Greatest commercial ever.
So if you don't think we're not metal fans, fuck you.
You fuck ass.
But so anyway, Turbo, interesting choice. Give the fans, because there's obvious other technical reasons as to why we chose this album, but let's give them the real history as to why you chose it.
Why I chose Turbo? Because I think Turbo is an album that underrated in the catalog. I think it's a lot more. It gets a lot more shit than it deserves. I think it's because it's Judas Priest. Oh my god! Nowadays, lately, it's probably been getting the love it deserves. A lot more people liked it. A lot more Priest fans have started opening up to that album. But I know when it first came out, it was too commercial. It was
too synthesizer.
Yeah, too radio friendly. Music is a business. Like Richard said, it's a business. Of course it's going to be commercial. They want money. 1986, synthesizers. That was up everybody's ass. Everybody was doing synthesizers. Slippery When Wet, our last album spotlight, was huge.
Yeah, that was a huge one.
Of course Judas Priest is going to jump on the gravy train. Let's get some synthesizers in that. But no, it's a great album. If you know the circumstances behind the album, like with Rob Halford, Rob Halford watched his boyfriend die in front of him. Committed suicide right in front of him. Shotgun.
Oh my god.
So just taking that.
I didn't know. That was a dark little
I actually didn't know that either. My wife actually told me that. So
Jesus.
Yeah.
We got your wife to thank for that.
But yeah, no, great album. And you were right. You texted me about halfway through the album spotlight a week ago, and you're like, Turbo's a better album listening the second time through.
Oh yeah, the second time through is a different adventure.
It is. It really is. And yes, every single track on that album could be thrown on the radio. They're all radio friendly.
But still metal as fuck.
It is very metal as fuck. It's like a race car. Turbo. The title track, Turbo Lover, I guess it's not really a title track, I guess. But totally, it's a live staple now. I saw it live back in April. They played it. Everybody was singing it. So, people do love the song. I just think at a time it was the cool thing to hate.
Yeah, and that's one of those things where that's one of those albums where you put this out and you're like, this is probably going to suck today, but who knows? It will find its place in history. And
it did. It's definitely in my top 3 Priest albums.
100%.
Top 3, not top 1.
Yeah, definitely not top 1, no. But
that's for another day.
But top 3 is definitely. But hell yeah! But this album, I had fun with this one.
I did too.
From start to finish, I was enjoying myself.
I really enjoyed listening to it. It was a good pick. I'm glad we got to do it. It kept with the theme of our last album spotlight being 1986. We've been talking about synthesizers and the glam a lot on this show so far, so kept with it. My favorite track off of it, Turbo Lover.
Of course.
Just kicks right into it right as soon as it starts, and I don't think it has weak tracks on it, but there's no bad tracks. I listened to the whole thing, didn't get bored, so.
Very nice. Well, there's a lot of tracks I loved. I want to see if you can guess my favorite.
Hot for Love.
That is a damn close one, because I love Hot for Love. That is a damn good song, but no. Believe it or not, it's Rock You All Around the World. Yeah, that was my second one. Rock You All Around the World. I was like, damn, that track hits home with me. I love that one. But Hot for Love is right behind it, bro. I'm telling you, I love that song.
Yeah, it's a good one.
And but I also I liked throwing a little shout out to the Private Property song.
Yes,
that's still one of my favorites.
If I was ever a wrestler, that'd be my theme.
That one's just the lyrics are fucking killer, bro.
Oh yeah,
because there's a slight arrogance to it too. And I love
it's
that.
it's that first part, the dent.
But like when he tells you keep your hands off,
yeah,
private. He's basically telling you don't touch this.
Yeah, right.
This is private property right here. You're not good enough for this, and I love that slight arrogance in there to it.
Yes, that's definitely yep. Mm-hmm. That's why it'd be my theme.
But Rock You All Around the World, that's my favorite. And you obviously know why. And well, actually, explain to the audience why that's my favorite track.
Why is that your favorite track? I actually don't think I know, unless you talk about the wrestling game.
No, it's literally I love the pace of it, but it's also it walks that fine line, like you said. It's awesome for radio, but you kind of don't know if you want to play this. But it's got those fast drums, and the synthesizers are great. But that lead and rhythm guitar, never go wrong with that. Mm-hmm. Love it in that song. So that is definitely that's my favorite track on there. But yeah, I'm glad you were very close to guessing it because like when you guessed
Hot for Love.
Yeah. I mean, come on. That song has me written all over it.
That's like a song you shut the door and turn it on when you're getting ready to bang somebody.
Right? Like
Hot for Love. Just strut into the bed.
Like there's certain ways that you tell a woman that you love her, and cranking that song on is one of them if you're a metalhead.
You know, Rob Halford listeners don't take this the wrong way. I have nothing against gay people, but Rob Halford, for being a gay guy, really does those love songs really good. Like,
oh yeah, like it's almost as if he understands both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah.
So he doesn't approach it from just one area.
I forget like 75% of the time that he is that because he's up there talking about hot for love, or wild nights, crazy days, and I'm like, oh wait, shit, that's right.
And also, of course, Turbo Lover, the track itself. Actually, that song has been very popular amongst metal singers who do karaoke.
Is it?
Yes. Because they actually had
it's not. It doesn't strain your voice. Like it's not like out of the. It's not like most of Rob Halford's songs where he's like, whoa, like that. Like
not everybody's looking for Painkiller in karaoke,
right? Only me would be the one to turn on Painkiller and pick karaoke. But no, it's straight to the point. Just I can see why it's a karaoke song.
Well, actually, there is footage.
Pick out some chick in the crowd, and be like,
there's footage of Wardell Dane before he passed away, and he was doing karaoke one night, and they were doing Turbo Lover.
Really?
Sounded great. He was having a blast, just going, "I'm your Turbo Lover." Like even that to me right there, that was fun.
Yeah,
I love this album. I thought it was great, and I also think this is one of those albums where it came out at the time, and they secretly loved it, but because of the context and how it kind of flipped on everybody, that Halford's out now. Oh, those songs are about that. That's
it
why
came out, I think, about 3 years after the album. So, but people kind of knew, yeah.
And
there's one part in the Heading Out to Highway video, like at the end.
I love that song.
Yeah, but at the end of the video, he's like acting like the towel girl or whatever, and he's out in the parking lot, and that's like one of the videos where you're like, okay, or Hot Rockin', the beginning.
Hot Rockin'.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think you're right because nowadays we embrace that like nothing.
Yeah, now
but
it's
like,
no problem. But back then it was like, oh no, we have to hate this album.
Wait, Rob Halford's gay? Oh, I can't like Turbo Lover now because he's talking about some dude. Pfft, he never once in that song says dude.
Right?
Like
now, if he stopped in the middle of the song and was like, "I'm your Turbo Lover," dude.
It's like, or like, Steve, I'm your turbo. Like, then it's like, okay, yeah, probably shouldn't care. Yeah, but no, any of the love songs that album's like heavy on love songs. I don't think they really have many love songs outside of that album.
It's a perfect album for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, because you could use it for everything.
Yeah, it's romantic.
Hot for love.
It's romantic as fuck, ladies.
Yeah, it is. I'm probably gonna use it for Valentine's Day this year. I mean,
I might do that too.
I call myself the Turbo Lover, so I'm kind of halfway there. So, see, people, I call myself the Turbo Lover. So he doesn't say dude.
Obviously, otherwise it'd be Turbo_Lover6, dude.
Yeah, right? Then we'd have problems. I probably wouldn't be married. So.
But anyway, so obviously this album was just great. Loved revisiting it. Loved the songs. Loved the lyrics. And I love that in a small way some of the songs reflect my personality because I have those moments.
Right?
Like, I just got those moments, where I feel like some days it's keep your hands off private property. Yeah, that's me.
I feel very comfortable listening to that album, almost like it's me.
Yeah.
Like
It's
when
a
I
damn good album.
yeah.
Nothing wrong with it, people. Move on. So honorable mention tracks from the album. Oh, and also, did you get a chance to listen to the anniversary edition?
I did not. Is it any different?
It is different because it includes tracks that, and we're not just talking about your typical demos. Like, there were songs that got cut from it because of length, but add a new dynamic. And then the live edition of the album adds a new energy to it, too, because they picked tracks from certain cities that they were just on fire, and it gives you a whole new experience about that album and what it means to hear it live back then, and what a gem it was, and what it is now. And so that the anniversary edition, it is on Amazon. I recommend downloading it there, or if you can find the actual physical copy, do that too, because that is one of those ones that's worth owning. So I did listen to that one. That was awesome, because I did go through and listen to like the bonus tracks. It only makes the album better.
I might have to.
Yeah, do it, man.
It was recently just the 30th anniversary, like 2 years ago. So I mean,
correct.
So it only took 30 years for that album to get some love,
right? But now the love is overwhelming, and it's going to explode all over you with turbo power.
Yeah,
see what I did there?
Definitely. I will say this really quick though before that video is atrocious.
Oh yeah,
that video is like straight up Rob Halford Creeper style, like. He's just like also just pops out of nowhere, and that thing is just like he's just like eyes are wide, and he's just looking at you like
he wants you to know he's watching you.
Oh yeah, he's looking at you like a piece of prime rib, man. In that video, like, but that getup in that video, I would dress like that.
Oh, I love the outfit.
I do too. Like,
never said anything about the outfit not being cool.
Oh no, that's
like I actually did like Glenn Tipton's outfit in that one
when he has the fucking fire at the end of the guitar too.
The guitar.
That was pretty cool.
You don't get any more badass than that.
I think if we do Kiss this year for Halloween, next year that's what we're doing.
Yeah, we're doing Turbo.
I'll be Halford, you be Glenn Tipton.
I will gladly be Glenn Tipton, man. That'd be great.
I get stuck with the flamboyant. Well, actually, no, you're gonna do Paul Stanley, so I mean,
yeah, so it evens out.
I just get side thighless chaps or whatever. That's all I get.
Dude, my clothes went through the shredder for that one. So,
Jesus.
Like literally, I'm gonna buy a new outfit and put it through a paper shredder, and then you got Paul Stanley's look.
You're gonna come to the Halloween party and be like, we're gonna be like, who are you? Be like, I'm Paul Stanley.
I'm gonna have to make a sign or something, bro.
You just
carry around a Kiss vinyl.
Just talk like him, and everybody will know.
They're still not gonna know, bro. Or actually, maybe they will.
Well, you mean nobody's gonna know when you're like young and wasted?
You see, Ethan over there, he may look like a little boy, but he's built like a man.
Yeah, I think people will know exactly who you are.
Oh, God Christ, man. You see, this is how it goes. And on that note, so overall thoughts on the Turbo album, love it. If you're trying to discover Judas Priest, you can start there.
Yep.
It would work.
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yep.
I
only give it an 8 because the two that are in front of it are just about 10s.
It's hard to top those 10s.
Yeah.
I actually give it a 9 because it came damn close. For being as different as it was, and that it still was that damn good from start to finish, it's a 9 in my book.
Okay.
Awesome. So that concludes the album Spotlight. Judas Priest Turbo album. Get it however you can, and I highly recommend the anniversary edition. Awesome. You'll love the live tracks, the demos, and then the scrapped tracks that were too lengthy and some were too naughty to keep on there. So check those out. You will love them. And with that in mind, what are your thoughts, Ethan?
About the Turbo album, and Yeah, I would give this to somebody to start.
Good starting place, you'd say?
Oh yeah,
definitely, to
yeah.
hook 'em in?
My top 2 that are 10s, I would not give that to somebody to start. Hell
Yeah,
no.
no, you gotta
fuck
dial it
that,
back
no.
a little bit. No,
No,
like you could start somebody off on British Steel.
I'd probably be like British Steel, Turbo, Screaming for Vengeance, and then I would get into the 2 10s.
Yes,
Because by then they know what they're expecting. Because, fuck it, I'm just gonna say it. One of my 10s is Painkiller. No, God no.
yeah, no, that's an intense album.
Yeah,
like
that's...
now, if you like intensity and you can dive in, go for it.
Exactly.
Otherwise, if you're just kind of easing in somebody, you'd want to start with this.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Any one of those 3 that we mentioned. So.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
All right. So, any other thoughts, buddy?
No, I think that's it. I'm ready to hear
Awesome.
what you picked for the next episode.
Next week?
Yeah.
I picked a special one.
Oh, Jesus.
And it's for damn good reason.
Van Halen 3. No, I'm kidding.
Damn it! No, just kidding. No, I actually chose an album that is a sleeper in the night. And I say
Is that
it's
the name?
No. It's Grim Reaper.
Turn on the nights.
Dude, we keep going back to Kiss. We gotta stop for now. But no, this album is a dark horse because here's the thing: it is one of the most honest to God underground thrash albums.
Oh, Jesus.
That didn't get the credit it really deserved.
Been shitting on Slayer the whole time. It's Slayer, isn't it?
No, it's not Slayer. Although that would be a nice twist at the end to torture you. Yeah, it is Slayer. It's
Right.
like, oh,
Rain and Blood, Slayer.
oh, Jesus. It's like, yeah, and you know how bad it is. It's like, we're doing it. No. But no, this is actually one of the most important albums in my opinion. And it got a nice little upgrade recently.
So it's an 80s album.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Much like your And Justice for All got an upgrade, well, this one got an upgrade too. And guess what? I've already listened to it.
I'm going to take a stab really quick. I think I might know. Is it Killing Is My Business?
Close, but no.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
This is another sleeper album because here's the thing, is it's a band's second album. So this is one of the most important launching thrash metal albums. Although you are right, my buddy, it is Megadeth. We're
Peace
going
Cells.
to Peace Cells.
When you said that was close, I kind of figured it was Peace Cells, which I'm okay with.
And by the way, this...
Which means we're probably going to follow it up Metallica, so just get ready.
But also, Killing Is My Business is going to be an album spotlight soon. I don't know when, but mostly it's going to be because I have not heard the re-released remastered edition that came out that Dave Mustaine originally wanted.
I didn't
and
know
that's
that.
the true vision I want.
I didn't know Peace Cells came out with a remastered. I knew Killing Is My Business.
It did come out with a remastered.
Yeah,
it came out with a 25th anniversary edition.
Okay. I'll look at that one
But
then.
because, yes. Now, I think Peace Cells was a very important album. I really did, because it had more impact than people thought. It was just one of those albums that, let's just put it this way, Scott Ian from Anthrax said, Peace Cells, that is one of the songs he wished he had wrote.
Ooh.
So what does that tell you, coming from Scott Ian, another thrash king of royalty right there. But I personally think, and you know how this happened to me? I went back and just listened to it again, and it was great. It was a great experience, and I was just like, man, I don't really think this album gets enough love. And especially with everything Megadeth has been doing lately with their catalog, Jesus Christ, God, this was a year for Megadeth. Last year and this year is just looking even better, so hats off to Megadeth. And yes, we are going to eventually do the album spotlight of Killing Is My Business, but I want to do the 35th anniversary edition because he went through special lengths to remaster, and there's even tracks from Denver, Colorado from 1986 that are on there.
Ooh.
Yeah, and There are tracks that I can't believe, and they sound dynamically different. So this isn't just your average live track bonus. Like, let's just say the Mechanics live version, way different.
Ooh, I can't wait.
Yeah, so that's going to be a good one. And that album also deserves a special spotlight on it, too. It does. But I went with Peace Sells because everybody is so quick to go to Rust in Peace, Countdown to Extinction, and everybody just relies on those ones. And then a lot of people, like Cryptic Writings is another one that gets a lot of follow-up. And all this whole time, I'm sitting here going, well, what about fucking Peace Sells?
What about United Abominations?
Oh, right. United
Or
Abominations, right? Like, those are killer records, and I personally think they have totally surpassed Rust in Peace by then. And, well, like, finally, they won a fucking Grammy. But, so that, and Dystopia's, like, got to be one of my favorite, like, my absolute favorite right now. Although that could change, who knows? Who knows? He might spit out another one, and it's just like, oh my god.
It's almost writing time, so.
Right? So, but I figured Peace Sells was very important because, obviously, that bass riff, but I went back and listened to Peace Sells, and I was like, this is such a fucking underrated album. It's short and sweet, but it has huge impact. And I think going back and listening to that one from start to finish again in the album spotlight, and if you give it a second listen to, it still holds up. You get a whole new vision on it. And I had so many different visions on how that one hit me, so I was like, it's time. We got to do Peace Sells. And like I said, timing-wise, I could see why you thought it was going to be Killing Is My Business, because that sounds like a move I would make. It's current. It's been remastered. It's
you
2018.
said underground, and that's what kind of clicked. Cause you said
well, yeah, it was
underground.
Very, it was
very
very underground, yes, but Peace Sells was very underground as well. And then that's what kickstarted Megadeth to land a bigger record deal. But
it's usually always the second album.
Usually.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get lucky with their first.
Like, I think Ride the Lightning's better than Kill 'Em All.
Oh, definitely, by far. But I, it's just, Peace Sells, I thought also would just be because of current political issues right now, and considering who our president is, it really wants you to go back and ask that question. Who's buying?
Right?
I mean...
Ooh, I can't wait.
So, like, that right there got me fired up because I'm like, man, because that was written on their second album, and again, it's relevant again in 2018.
Right?
Peace Sells, but who is buying?
Yep.
Because there's, and that just hits home to me. So I was like, man, Peace Sells has got to be a fucking excellent record. And plus, since we are looking at doing, like, countdowns of, like, drummers and stuff, and this actually, because a little while ago was the anniversary of the death of Gar Samuelson, the original Megadeth drummer. I went back and listened to the drums on Peace Sells. Holy shit, Dave Mustaine was right. When he passed, we lost a true giant. Holy shit. Listen to the drums on fucking Peace Sells from start to finish. And then this also gives a chance for us, Megadeth fans, to go back and appreciate the lineup at the time. Like Chris Poland, lead guitar, phenomenal guitar players. He could play circles around Dave. And that's what I love about Dave. He doesn't mind getting guys way more talented than him.
That's a good thing.
It's a great thing because that's how Dave Mustaine got so much better, is because he has always had top-notch talent. But the combination of jazz musicians, Gar Samuelson and Chris Poland, hearing their jazz influence on metal, holy shit. And then, of course, David Ellefson, back in the day, his bass, we just covered him, his bass was top-notch sound. And if you like fast, heavy, pure thrash metal, and if Peace Sells is not in your top 5 albums, you're a fucking moron. Or if they're not in your top 10, you've lost all respect to me.
I was going to say, top 10 probably be a little bit more wiggle room.
A little more wiggle room, but it's got to be in your top 10.
I haven't listened to the album so long, so this is going to be fun.
It's going to be fun to revisit Peace Sells, isn't it?
It makes me excited because I cannot wait to do. We're doing the Peace Sells, and I'm excited to do that because I haven't listened in so long. But now it makes me excited to when we do the big 4 time of our show.
Yep.
And we have to do each one of those bands start to finish because I haven't listened to Megadeth in so long. So I'm really excited to do Peace
that's
Cells.
the funny part. Neither have I. I just threw on Peace Cells because it came on random. And then I here's what I did. Because what ended up coming up was Good Morning Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, I stopped. And I just put that album on play. And I just ran it through my head twice.
Yeah.
And I was like, it gave me new life. I was like, holy shit, that album was fucking great. We got to do this. And I did go back and listen to Killing Is My Business, but I just recently, I did buy the Amazon edition of the 35th anniversary edition of Killing Is My Business. Can't wait to dive into that.
Oh,
That's
I can't wait
fun.
either.
But yeah, so, hearing all my favorite tracks from Peace Cells, this is going to be great. And like I said, I think they're going to enjoy it too, because I think we're going to have really a lot of fun with this one too.
I think so too.
And it was only a matter of time before I chose a Megadeth album. What better way to kick it off?
Like I said earlier, I guarantee you that I did have an album spotlight picked out, but now that you picked Megadeth, I'm like automatically going to Metallica. So that's not saying that that's. All you people out there, that's not the Megadeth Metallica rivalry. It's kind of a natural reaction. He said negative, so now it's like, well, the one I originally picked could probably be put aside, and we could do Metallica right after.
Well, if you want to do Metallica, we can, but I mean, because now I'd be curious, what Metallica album is he gonna pick?
Right.
So that's what kind of.
I'm kind of curious too, because I gotta go back to the catalog.
Because you might pick fucking Load, and I'd be like, let's do it.
Yeah, right?
So
the best of the worst champion.
Right? So and bravo to you after doing that best of the worst, because now I look at Load and I was like, that's not as bad as everybody thought it was.
Yep.
So I mean, but please don't pick Load.
I won't.
But I can't wait to see what you pick. So that part is kind of curious, but now I'm going to be like, well, what the fuck did he scrap for it?
Oh, it would be more like whatever I scrap for it. It'll just come back when I pick again.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
it's just basically it's moving it. It's just basically moving it back my rotation. Basically,
okay. No spoilers. Then.
Yeah.
So we won't say anything. But so now let me just before we stop this show, because goddamn we ran long on this one. But that's what happens when you're having fun, people.
I have a special announcement too. So go ahead.
Oh, okay. So we'll do that after I get your thoughts on this. When I said Peace Cells, what hit you?
But who's buying?
Well,
no joke. That's
like
when
really.
You said, actually, no. When you said Peace Cells, the first thing that hit was dun 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 dun.
But you were excited, weren't you?
Yes, I was. I was very excited.
You're like, ooh, we get to go down that rabbit hole again.
Like I said, I haven't listened to Megadeth in so long, so I'm excited.
Awesome. Well, good. I hope this revitalizes the life of Megadeth again. And goddamn, that's from start to finish. That one's gonna be a gut wrencher for me. Wait till we do our top 20 at the end of it.
Wait until you. Oh, trust me, I'll go through the same pain with
God.
Metallica. So
I might be a wreck for a week after that. I don't know. I might need a vacation after that.
I was about to say we'll do that one when we do. I got like a week off or something after we do our special event. So I mean, we'll probably do it then or something like that. So, but I totally agree with you. That's gonna be nuts. But the worst part about that is though. That's going to be with the Big Four stuff, so we're going to have to do it one right after another, and that's going to suck so bad. But it'll be fun.
And then we also have another...
Slayer's going to suck. Let's just put it that way.
Maybe. Well, I don't know. Maybe because ever since we've been doing this whole revisiting and rediscovering music, maybe Slayer won't be so bad revisiting.
Maybe not, no.
So you never know. But also... eventually we're going to announce, but I have a special... We have plans all the way out till fucking November, people. And we have a special one planned for November. That's going to take us a
I'll give you guys a hint. If you look at the calendar at tours coming up, you could probably figure out what we're planning. So...
There's that, but then there's also a special little movie that struck a chord with me, and then I just figured, well, we got to do it from start to finish on that.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil that one.
We'll announce it about a month before.
That's going to be fun.
Yep.
You know it. Like when that idea popped in my head and I shot it off to you. Well, like, what were your thoughts on that one? Just emotion-wise, like, what were you like? A little out of left field for me, though, right?
It was, but now you got me curious because, like, all of a sudden I've seen the band in a different light since you've told me that we're going to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, like, me and my wife were super excited. Like we wanted to see the movie, but like I was telling her, like, I don't want to go see it because it's gonna end sad. But now I want to go see it no matter what now. Like,
yeah, exactly. Now
like,
this is just one of those things. It has to be done.
yeah, exactly. And I think it's gonna be a good movie. And the dude they have lead cast looks phenomenal.
It's going to be I have a feeling it's going to be an awesome movie. Well
Me
worth
too.
the trip. And plus, I'm taking you guys for free, so you get in for free.
Yep. Avengers 4 is gonna be awesome.
Yes, Avengers 4 will be great.
That's what we're talking about.
That's exactly what we're talking about. In November.
Yeah, you guys didn't
Anyway.
hear? It's getting moved up 6 months.
Yeah, anyway, but that's going to be a fun project. It's going to be a little different because it's going to combine one equal cause but two different worlds.
Yep.
And it's going to see we'll see if the Cinemaverse was accurate. And then
To what actually happened.
To what actually happened, yeah. So this is going to be fun. But we're not going to spoil anything more. We're going to stop there. But yeah, we just letting you people know. We got plans out the wazoo, but we are always open to suggestions. But like these major projects,
We'll
keep you
fit them
updated.
in. We'll fit you in your ideas. Don't
we
worry.
do, and we're going to take the Twitter more. Because as you guys started seeing, I started throwing out votes who was a better front man. I did Paul Stanley versus David Lee Roth, and happy to say, Paul Stanley kicked the shit out of David Lee Roth. So awesome there. So we're gonna keep it going for you guys. So I am totally out, bro. I am spent for tonight. Just hearing everything we talked about and we got going on. I'm excited for the next
That's good
one.
because I'm about to kick your ass with a special announcement.
Oh, here we go.
In a few weeks, on a special episode, I finished it today. The Best of the Ballads is done.
Oh, shit.
The turbo elimination for the Best of the Ballads is done. We're going to fit it in sometime soon because I know Richard wants to hear the results for that. It was grueling. It was tough. I did cry a couple of times during this.
Here was the thing is I tried some of the songs on a playlist. I didn't even listen to maybe 10 songs compared to what you were having to go through, and I was having a hard time with this one. So the fact that you went through this one and all of them, thank you for that.
It was fun, but it was tough.
But yeah, so I can't wait to see our next turbo elimination, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep, that's gonna be
of the
gonna be a
ballads.
big one.
Holy
100 songs. I will give you
Jesus!
I will give you my recap in a couple weeks.
Of all of them.
Yep, I already have them made. I already have the top 20 made in the playlist and everything. It's all done.
Nice.
So
and
it's
then
just
we
a matter
will
of
give
fitting
you
it
that
in.
playlist.
Yep, it's just a matter of fitting
and then,
it in.
of course, you always are welcome to join. Submit your playlist to us.
I need an idea for my third one, so submit ideas. I have a couple of ideas that I'm going to play around with and see what I can get. My goal for ideas is to get 32 to 64 songs.
Okay.
If it's albums, then it's a little different. It's 16 to 32. If it's straight up full albums. But if it's songs, 32 to 64. So any ideas that get me to that number, one of those numbers, I will consider and possibly do. But I do have a couple of ideas right now.
Yeah. So
but it doesn't mean that those are my locked in. I'm in the planning.
That could change.
I'm in the planning phase right now of my next one. So
okay, awesome. And just for an example out there, if the Kiss Army wanted to go rabbit and do non-makeup years versus makeup years,
I could do that. I could split them up into two brackets and then have.
But we're going for not albums, songs.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
I'll give you an example. One of the ones I'm considering right now because this one was so long. Radio singles.
Ooh, damn. Oh shit.
Best radio singles from bands.
Oh,
that's not one single from each band. That's however many good ones that qualify.
Oh Jesus,
So.
that's holy shit, bro. That's an undertaking right there.
It is, but I figured that most radio singles are really short, so it won't take me nearly as long. So,
and I also have a special preview for you, if you will.
Okay.
I have found the later on special event, the first ever album spotlight greatest hits edition, and we are going to cover an essential record from start to finish, and I'm warning you now, I chose a tough one. Why? Because this greatest hits is technically an essential. It's 3 albums long.
Jesus.
Of just greatest hits from one band. But I'm not going to reveal who that is yet. But I will give you this. They're a legend. That's all you get.
Don't spoil it.
I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil it. But honestly, you don't even know who I'm talking about. So this is going to be great.
I can't wait.
All right. Well, with any of that, we apologize for going super long. Well, actually, no, I don't. This was fun. And we hope you enjoy the conversation, too. So, again, social media links. You can find me at Flash Flanagan, #1, on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, whichever floats your boat or creams your Twinkie. And you can find Ethan.
You can find me at Turbo_Lover6 with no dude at the end. Turbo_Lover6. On Twitter and on Instagram, even though I don't do anything on Instagram.
Well, he's going to start posting more. Trust me, people.
I have barely enough time to do everything else. No, I will start posting more. Probably just be random pictures. Like, that's what I do on Facebook, too. So,
and if you want to find the YouTube channel for finding all of our shows, you can search for Turbo&Flash Productions. That will take you straight to the Turbo&Flash Metal Show. So that's where you'll find all of our free episodes posted on YouTube. This is a YouTube show. We are keeping it for YouTube because honestly, we just want more of an audience on YouTube, and what better way than to just give you a show for free. And also, it's going to give us more room for growth later on down the road. But in the meantime, you can just enjoy our free YouTube show on YouTube. So comment, hate us, send dick pics. I don't care. But
don't send us dick pics.
Yeah, don't send us dick pics. No, just send them to me, Ethan. Don't send them to me. Anyway, we love you guys. Thank you for tuning in, and have a good rest of your day or night, depending on. Peace out.